From this point, there is no going back. Here ends my life as a Danish journalist. What awaits me is a life where I can operate freely, beyond all moral boundaries known to man, while still being a respectable member of society. A life where I can indulge myself in secret state affairs, enjoy red carpet treatment, and travel the world with a suitcase full of diamonds. What I am talking about is, of course, a life as an African diplomat. Back in 2007, by chance I stumbled upon this diplomatic title brokerage on the internet, offering, if you would shell out a lot of money, that you could purchase a diplomatic title, becoming a trade attaché or a consul or an ambassador. And I thought, if that is really possible, that would be a brilliant starting point for a documentary.
This conversation that we're about to have never happened.
Okay.
All right?
Yes.
I have a good feeling that you're interested in the Central African Republic is so deeply.
Yeah?
And I think that your goal is you want to have unfettered access, preferably with diplomatic credentials, in and out of a diamond producing zone.
That as well.
Okay.
Well, initially the consultant Jacob Høhl, who I pitched the idea to, he was very skeptical, understandably so. He said, if you were to go to a place like the Central African Republic, they will have you for breakfast, you will not last an hour there. And I proposed then that I would go there, just posing as with the businessman, just to investigate if I would be able to, maneuver in the circles of power in the Central African Republic. What happened was that I involuntarily, more or less, began making the film without wanting to do so. Within a week, I was meeting with the Minister of Mines, the protocol of the President. So I thought, if this is possible without diplomatic credentials, what will happen once I acquire diplomatic credentials? Welcome to the Central African Republic. I'm having sundowners with a Sudanese diplomat overlooking the capital, Bangui. In my tuxedo pocket is a diplomatic passport which says I am the Liberian consul and ambassador at large to the Central African Republic. Well, the Central African Republic is the most, forgotten African state, if you can, even call it a state. It has been off the map, off the radar, since the times of the infamous cannibal emperor Bokassa. It is the ultimate hideaway. If you want to get, if you want to vanish completely, you would go to the Central African Republic. And hence it attracts, eccentric, dodgy and weird people. Also, in the world of diplomacy, if you are sent to the Central African Republic, it is a punishment. Life is hard there. If once you go there, no people will hear about you. It is, a punishment. Meaning that, the diplomats and members of the consular corps you would meet in a place such as Bangui has to be, really diplomatically phrased special people. Some years ago, the Spanish and Greek consuls in Bangui were charged with massive tax fraud with diamonds, and the Spanish consul had to flee Bangui at night, assisted by this man, the Italian consul.
Faut pas toucher aux armes.
Skal ikke røre våben.
Pas toucher aux diamants.
Ikke røre diamanter.
Et pas toucher les femmes des employés.
Og ikke røre de ansattes damer.
Tout le reste, c'est possible.
That's the advice I need. We told the Africans that the photographer was my press officer. In Francophone Africa, everything that you can attach officer to is great. And he's using a Canon EO5 camera, which in an African setting is taken for a still camera. It looks like a still camera, but it shoots high-grade video. And so, they didn't care basically. They thought he was shooting still pictures. And in a way, it emphasized their impression of me as being a very wealthy imbecile, that I had hired a guy to shoot, pictures of me as I went about. So we were able to film scenes which, in theory, should be absolutely unfilmable. The whole ordeal and process of, involving yourself in illegal diamond mining, for instance.
Ask Gilbert, what is the biggest diamond they have found here?
Comme ça.
Comme ça?
Oui.
Oh.
C'est le chantier le plus qui produit de gros diamants. Oui, c'est ça. En République centrafricaine. Un gros diamant, ça sort ici.
This?
Here.
Yes. Oh.
I decided quite early in the process that instead of trying to blend in, I would do the exact opposite. I would try to stand out as much as possible. And there's a protection and a survival strategy in doing that, because blending in makes you more suspicious, while dressing in a very flamboyant and eccentric way makes people think if he is behaving like that and dressing like that, he has to be very wealthy and powerful, probably also an imbecile or even an idiot, but that is okay, and I also had an idea that I wanted to project or become, a hologram of the black fantasy of the ultimate white business diplomat. Because I had an idea that this could open doors for me. And that certainly worked well. I promised several ministers that I would bring them, the same riding boots that I'm wearing in the film. And I had a feeling that I was attracting men who were subscribing to the same fantasies and fetishisms that my characters signify. It's really extreme role-playing, because you do have to be in character all the time. And that's also the only way of dealing with it, because, if you have periods out, off character, then it really becomes, schizophrenic. So it's much more easy being in character all the time, bordering on being almost psychotic, because that's also the only way of finding an enjoyment in it. And it has its fun moments, driving through the capital in a high-speed SUV with your diamond mine owner, business partner, and your two pygmy assistants. It's a very intoxicating feeling. But it also involves, prolonged periods of paranoia and stress.
If you are going to do what I think you're going to do, okay, if you do it the way we will set you up to do it, you have a very high probability of success.
Yes.
If you do it any other way, the best that you can hope for is to be arrested and go to jail and lose everything you've got.
Yes.
That's the best you can hope for.
Yes.
The worst you can hope for is that you end up dead in a ditch in Africa.
Yes.
Because of the amount of corruption in the Central African Republic, it is the final state of corruption, which is where corruption penetrates all social relations, all institutions. So you're not able to produce anything there anymore, unfortunately. What has happened so far, I don't think the Central African Republic is aware of the film yet, but Liberia certainly are. A couple of days ago, President Ellen Johnson issued a statement saying that I should be arrested and extradited to Liberia. She called me a criminal and is clearly very angry at me, which I think is a classic case of, attacking the messenger instead of relating to, the message, which of course is that, that she is surrounded by, very corrupt people who are selling off, diplomatic titles. One of the diplomatic title brokers in the film is very angry at me and has tried to stop the screening of the film, and is very active, slandering the film on the internet. At times, I'm afraid that I haven't really, seen the repercussions of this film yet. That much worse things are to come.